Hello, welcome to my channel, King Charles channel. Um, today's lecture it's on microeconomics, introduction to microeconomics. So you can like, share, subscribe, and enjoy the lecture. Drop your question also. This introduction to microeconomics is one of the branches of economics, because when you at least both the business admin student and the and the economic student actually studied ECN 101. You did a introduction to principles of economics. Now, in the principles of economics, you you succeeded in learning that there are two major branches of uh, economics. Now, these two branches are microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, this microeconomics deals with a singular unit of the economy, where you study the economic variables in isolation. But the macroeconomics deals with the aggregate unit of the economy, where you combine so many variables while examining a particular variable. For instance, in business, as an individual, a household, there is one particular thing that concerns you when you are buying. When you are what? Buying. And that concerns you is simply price of the commodity you are buying. The price of the commodity you are buying. How much is it? Most of the time, people consider price even before considering the quality of the product. That notwithstanding, there are other variables that you consider, which includes even your income level. Even your what? Your income level. But most importantly, in microeconomics, when you are trying to study these variables or the relationship between this price and the quantity of goods you are going to buy, you are only going to be focusing on one of these variables at a time. You are only going to be focusing on one of these variables at a time. But in macroeconomics, you can jointly study them. So here in microeconomics, you limit your scope. You limit your what? Your scope, so that you can take care of a few variations, or take care of the variation in a few variables, or changes in a few variables. So before we continue, I would like to give you the course content that we'll be dealing with, the outline that we'll be studying. The first topic or content to deal with is the nature and methodology of microeconomics. Nature and methodology of microeconomics. You can put that as number one. Topic number one, nature and methodology of microeconomics. There are many subtopics that will be taught in within this very particular topic. Then number two, you are going to study the concept of equilibrium. Concept of what? Equilibrium. Concept of equilibrium. Now, there in the concept of equilibrium, for this level, you'll be focusing on partial and general equilibrium analysis. So you can put it in bracket. You can put it in bracket after concept of equilibrium. You put it in bracket partial and general equilibrium analysis. And general, partial and general equilibrium analysis. Then number 3, please, I hope that you are getting the topic as I'm putting them down, because we may not have a time to repeat this again. Nature and methodology of microeconomics, that is the first one. The second one is the concept of equilibrium, in bracket partial and general equilibrium analysis. Number 3, market mechanism. Number 3, market mechanism. In market mechanism. Market mechanism. In brackets, you put supply and demand analysis. Supply and demand analysis. Number 4, theory of consumer behavior. Theory of consumer behavior. Consumer behavior. Theory of consumer behavior. Then that's number 4. You can put Roman figure 1, or that is the one you use I dot. You can use the Roman figure 1 and you say utility and preference functions. Roman figure 1. That means you are listing some topics, subtopics under theory of consumer behavior. So Roman figure 1, utility and preference functions. Roman figure 2, indifference curve analysis. Indifference curve analysis. Now, indifference curve analysis, or indifference curve analysis. IN, then put difference. IN, difference. That is indifference curve analysis. Number 3, substitution and income effects. Substitution and income effects. Substitution and income effects. That's Roman figure 3. Roman figure 3. Then the Roman figure 4, substitution and income effect. Substitution and income effect. Substitution and income effect. Then Roman figure 4, cobweb theory. Cobweb theory. Cobweb, yes. Cobweb is COBWEB. 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 Cobweb theory. Then last but not the least, theory of production and cost. That's number 5. This one is the main topic now, not Roman figure 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one is theory of production and cost. Theory of production and cost. Are we together now? Theory of production and cost.
So we are starting with the first topic now, which is on the nature and methodology of what? Of microeconomics. which is on the nature and methodology of microeconomics. I've said it earlier that microeconomics handles a singular unit of the economy. Microeconomics deals with single variables at a time. By definition, you can say microeconomics is the study of the economic actions of individuals. Microeconomics is the study of the economic actions of individuals and small groups of individuals. Simply put, microeconomics is the study of the economic actions of what? Individuals and small groups of individuals. In studying microeconomics, the individuals or small groups of individuals that we are talking about include individual households and firms. Individual households and firms. So when you are using macroeconomic analysis, you think of or you deal with individual firms, you deal with individual households, you talk about individual prices, like prices of egg in isolation of prices of milk. You talk about individual wages. You even talk about individual income. You talk about particular commodity, that is individual commodity. You don't generalize, you don't focus on everything when you are using microeconomic analysis. You don't focus on everything, you don't generalize. Why I'm stressing this is because when you are dealing with the opposite one, which is macroeconomics, you will not be talking about individual, particular industry, particular firm. You'll be talking about the whole industry. You'll not be talking about particular firm, you'll be talking about the whole industry. You'll be talking about the whole production sector or manufacturing sector. You'll not be talking about individual household. You'll be talking about the entire or the aggregate household or the aggregate consumption. Because in microeconomics, you'll be talking about the consumption of one individual. But in macro, you'll be talking about the consumption of the whole citizens, the whole population. That's why we call it aggregate consumption. But in microeconomics, you'll be looking at household A. That's Suberi's household and Blessing's household. How many eggs do they consume per month? How many eggs do Suberi's household consume per month? How many eggs does Blessing's household consume per month? But in macro, you talk about how many eggs does the whole economy consume per month, aggregate. That's it. In micro, we talk about individual prices, which is what is the price of pig milk, the price of toothpaste, or the price of the electronics, each of the electronics. But in macro, the focus or the emphasis is simply on the overall prices. It's called general prices. General what? Prices. And where we talk about individual income, your income as what's your name? Mariam, your income or your income as Suberu, we talk about that individually. But in macroeconomics, we talk about it generally. We talk about general wage rate. So that is why we have the concept of inflation in macroeconomics, but we do not have the concept of inflation in microeconomics. Because when we talk of general prices, inflation means general prices. So we focus on macro, our emphasis, our focus is on macroeconomics. But here in microeconomics, our concern is just individuals, household, and firms. You don't go too far to capture things that will make your analysis too robust. That is what microeconomics is all about. So, in the end, you will discover that microeconomic analysis is concerned with issues of price determination and allocation of resources between these individuals or individual household and firms. Issues of allocation of resources and price determination. For a firm will work hard to see how much of its resources it will commit into the production of certain product and how much of its resources it will commit into the production of another product. How much of its resources will go into maybe production of cotton or wool or production of milk, and how much it will bring back in return. It's very important. This is the struggle that a firm will continue to go through. Even internally, the resources have to be distributed across the production activities. So you do not give too much, allocate too much to one particular area. For instance, in a production sector, maybe like in a production setting, like maybe the bakery where you produce bread, there are different aspects of the production. One involves buying of those in procurement. The other involves transportation. The other involves technical aspect and so on. So there are sectors or various branches in the production of bread whereby you allocate on daily basis. You allocate resources on daily basis as a production, as a bakery, so that you do not end up giving too much allocation to maybe you go and buy too much flour and you do not have enough sugar, or you go and buy too much sugar and buy too much flour and you do not keep some resources for the payment of wages of those who are working, or you end up buying all of these things, paying salaries and so on, but you do not reserve anything for transportation that will enable you to transport the finished product to end users. Are you with me? Then as a household, your concern will be how to allocate your scarce resources. In all, and in quote, it's money. How do you allocate it across different aspects of the homekeeping? Your fund is limited. Your resources is limited, of course. So, but then you have to now plan how to allocate these resources amongst all these various demands in the household. You understand? You now have to plan how to allocate your hard resources, your scarce resources among these various household wants. So now, when you are doing that, you are employing the principle of microeconomics, because issues of price will come into play. Price of the particular commodity will come into play. Price of other commodities or other related commodities will come into play. Your level of income will come into play. Your taste and preference will come into play. Do you prefer some things over another? You understand? Because particularly in Nigerian economy today, the price of one commodity determines the demand of another commodity. You go to the market and you find out that the price of pig milk has increased tremendously, maybe from 600 to 1,000. It might end up making you or increasing the demand for other commodity, other related commodity, which is maybe 3 crown or Olympic or Dano or any of those other uh, related goods. Any of those other related goods. So these are the things you do as a microeconomist. To summarize this in 4 questions, both for household and individual. To summarize this in 4 questions, both for household and individuals. We say, how are the purchasing power or purchasing behavior of an individual influenced by the price of a commodity? Microeconomics will help you to carry out this analysis. How are the purchasing power or purchasing behavior of an individual, of individuals, influenced by the price of a commodity? How resources are allocated to the production of particular goods and services? What determines the pattern of distribution of goods and services among the people? Okay, the fourth one is how efficiently they are distributed. Now, we take those questions again. We take those questions again. And what are they? The questions that will help us to carry out analysis effectively in microeconomics. How are the purchasing behavior of individuals influenced by the price of a product? How are the purchasing behavior of individuals influenced by the price of a commodity? Two, how resources are allocated to the production of particular goods and services. How resources are allocated to the production of particular goods and services. Number 3, what determines the pattern of distribution of the goods and services among the people? And how efficiently are these goods and services distributed? How efficiently are these goods and services distributed? So you can see that at the end of the day, microeconomics is focusing principally on issues concerning individual, household, and firms. Individual, household, and firm. Now, in a nutshell, microeconomics is the microscopic study of the economy. In a nutshell, microeconomics is the microscopic study of the economy to find out the working of markets for individual commodities and the behavior of individual consumers and producers. Microeconomics is the microscopic study of the economy That is, instead of you to study the economy as a whole, you focus on one household to find out how the market is working for individual commodities. For instance, you choose fuel. Today, you can study how the fuel prices, how individual household react or respond to the varying to the fluctuating price or astronomical price of petrol today. How does the individuals, how does the firms, the petrol dealers also deal or relate to the consumers? So microeconomics try to weigh these balances, try to, carry out this analysis so that it will give an understanding of why a consumer behave the way they do and why the producer also behave the way they do. So, in microeconomics, the analysis of price determination and allocation of resources is usually studied in three different stages. It's usually studied in three different stages, which is the equilibrium of individual consumers and producer, the equilibrium of individual consumers and producers, the equilibrium of single market, and the simultaneous equilibrium of all markets. Now, this can be done in microeconomics. This can be done in microeconomics. But in macroeconomics, the entire aggregate national economy as a whole is studied. The entire aggregate national economy as a whole is studied in macroeconomics. So, at the end of the day, you have things like national income, unemployment, and inflation. Unemployment and inflation. So, please, we are going to stop here. We continue from the differences that exist between microeconomics and macroeconomics. So, when you rewatch the video on the YouTube channel, you can drop your questions. I will respond to them. But for now,